Welcome to the third episode of Loosely Canon, where the lore is kinda optional. My name is Grimz, and I'm here with Eclipse.
Ah,
Today,
hello.
we are breaking down Destiny 1, the expansions, where Hive gods rise and the Fallen cause problems. Now, before we get into it, because, the last episode I did was Destiny 1, so, got a little trivia for you. Do you remember what the four races are?
Uh, kind of. I just rewatched this the other day too. Well, watched is a strong word. I had on in the background while I was ship posting. Um, oh man, I feel like I should remember them.
I mean, I literally just mentioned two of them in the intro.
One of them was Fallen then, because you said
Yes.
that word, and I don't remember the other.
Alright, so,
I remember there was a group of like bug people that were actually worms in like the heads of things.
yeah, that's the Hive.
Okay, was that the other one you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
so,
That's the only one I can really remember because I like their designs.
you got the Hive, which are the
Mm,
little bug boys. You got
mm,
the Fallen, which are like the scavenger boys.
mm.
And then you got the Vex, the machines,
Right.
and the Cabal, which are the space rhinos.
I should have remembered Cabal because there's this game I really like from I think the 90s, and the enemies in that was called the Cabal. And every time you said Cabal in the last episode, I remembered them because they make this dumbass scream.
So the interesting thing about the Destiny expansions, or at least in Destiny 1, is each expansion kind of focuses on a specific race.
That is kind of cool. Each one kind of gets its own little section to really polish up lore and stuff like that.
Yeah. So go into the first one then. So the first expansion, it was called The Dark Below, and it was revolving around the Hive.
Okay.
So how that kind of went is that obviously, if you remember, the Hive for a long time was just lurking on the moon.
Hmm.
So then what happened is at some point before our character's time in the game, there was a guardian by the name of Eris Morn, and she had her own little fire team and whatnot. And they went to push back the Hive on the moon, but she and her team had disappeared for many years, and so then suddenly, about shortly after we finished the main campaign, Eris Morn, she appears at the tower and has this warning about Crota, who, if you remember from the initial episode, Crota is like the big bad of the Hive.
I have vague memories, which is how you know he's important if I actually recognize a name. Brain don't work too good.
So she tells us that her whole fire team's job was to stop Crota and prevent him from ever being able to come back. And what happened was her fire team got overwhelmed, and she's the only one that survived. And so she's trying to tell us that we need to make sure that he will not come back because his soul is still kind of lingering on the moon.
Interesting.
And so, and then there's also these Hive followers of his that are led by a powerful wizard by the name of Omnigul, who, if you ask any Destiny player, everybody, I swear, definitely not sarcastic, just loves her scream.
For Scream?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word on that one.
So at after we hear Eris's message, and so does the Vanguard, they're like, alright, should probably go take care of this powerful wizard and kind of slow down the Hive's movement to bring Crota back. So we get doing that. She's a little hard to deal with, but eventually we get rid of her and whatnot. And then we're like, alright, should probably finally make our way to the moon and seek to destroy Crota's soul once and for all. And when we get there, we find out that they're in the process of returning his soul to his body. And we see that there's this relic that they're using called the Chalice of Light. And we find out through Eris that this could potentially completely stop the process if we destroy it. So then, in order to destroy it, it's like guarded. Obviously, it's an important relic to them. And there is another wizard that is in a different group of wizards that is known as Death Singers. And what they can do is they are able to bring Hive souls back and kind of revive them.
Oh, so it's a new enemy type too.
Kind of, but they're like still wizards.
They're still wizards. They're an evolution of the wizard. A variant, if you would.
And kind of like the main final bit of this expansion is going into the raid activity, and what raid activities are is a 6-man group instead of your usual 3-man group, and it is a challenging mission where you got multiple encounters, you know, kind of like if you've ever played World of Warcraft or whatever, where there's, you know, the raids and you have to kind of strategically think things through.
There's one thing I've been called in my life, it's strategic.
And in that, at the end of that, you face off against Crota, and you have to use his own sword against him to weaken him so that you can cause damage to him. I probably should have shown this earlier, but I do have pictures of Crota and Eris.
Let's see.
Here's Mr. Crota.
He looks like what was his name? Fucking Diamond Head from Ben 10.
Ah, damn. I forgot to make a shitty Eris. God damn it.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Unprofessional.
that's what Crota really looks like.
Okay.
So in that real picture, that is him kneeling down after being weakened by the Guardians using the sword on him. And that thing behind him is a lovely thing called his Oversoul. And if you do not complete the boss phase of the Crota's raid, which is called Crota's End, it can completely wipe your team if you take too long.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's like an actual all-out attack.
Yeah,
It's like, if you don't fucking deal with me now, I am party wiping you fuckers.
It's very fun to deal with. And
I can only imagine.
There are some techniques to get around it, but who cares? We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about gameplay. We're talking about fucking game story.
And
Sort of.
oops, no Eris. Here's real Eris.
Ah, yes. With a fucking Sam Fisher blindfold?
So, yeah, fuck it, I'll get into the lore of why she looks like that. So the main reason that she had survived her push into the Hive's, like, underground is so when all of her other fire teammates perished, she found a hive worm and combined it with herself, and that helped her to kind of understand the hive's movements more and allow her to escape. So yeah, she's a little kooky.
You don't say.
But yeah, and so then you kill Crota, and Eris is like, all right, I appreciate what you've done, but I have to warn you that this is really only going to be the beginning, because the Hive, they're not done. And Crota's father, Oryx, will hear of his son's demise.
Foreshadowing.
Yep. And that is one expansion down.
One down. How many to go?
3 more.
3. Oh, so they made 4. 1 for each race, or was it just pure coincidence?
We'll see.
Alright, fair enough.
So, then the next one, the House of Wolves. This one is about the Fallen. So, some backstory behind this one is that for many years, the Queen of the Awoken, Goth Mommy Marasov, she controlled a Fallen house. If you remember that Fallen is separated to houses, and that house was known as the House of Wolves. And so how she had taken control of them is that after this like big battle between the Awoken and the Fallen, their Kel, which is the leader of each house, had fallen, and so she assumed control over them and started using them as her enforcers. However, there was a powerful leader amongst the House of Wolves, and his name was Skolas. And he had this idea to unite all of the fallen houses under his rule, and he wanted to consider himself the Kel of Kells, aka King of Kings.
King of Kings, yeah.
And I should have a picture of Mr. Skolas. So
I love him.
That circle will become relevant in a second. So he led a coup against the Queen and broke the House of Wolves away from the Awoken. And he started to become a major threat to both the Reef, where the Awoken are, and the Last City. And so Mara saw, she's like, hey, Guardians, can you help us get this fucker down? Because otherwise, this could be very bad. And so we find him on Venus, and he has accessed Vex technology. And if you remember, the Vex are able to teleport through time and space, so he can pull fallen warriors from any point in time. And
that's interesting.
What that circle in that picture is my shitty representation at a Vex portal. So he's kind of, in that picture, he's got control of the Vex technology.
Yeah.
And here's what he actually looks like, by the way. He do be drippy.
He's very drippy. I like that he has fur, like, on around his fucking feet holder, I'm guessing.
So
I like his design. That's really cool.
obviously, this is very bad, because this means he's no longer limited to present numbers of Fallen. He can just pull from anywhere, from future, past, anytime. So we follow him around and we fight him before he can finally complete his plan. And so rather and then because the Awoken really wanted to make sure that he would be suffering for what he had done, we aren't actually allowed to kill him, and they want to imprison him instead. And he gets imprisoned in what is called the Prison of Elders, which is this high security prison that the Awoken control, which is also a very fun, in my opinion, 3-person activity in Destiny 1, where you go around and fight the inmates. Very fun.
Yeah, going and punching the fuck out of some convict sounds like a great time.
Eventually, however, though, they do decide to execute him because he was constantly trying to break free, and thus the Fallen Houses, they remain divided and without one leader uniting them. And so this kind of is like this kind of like spreads this kind of thought of doubt around the reef, where people are starting to kind of question Marasov's power, because she kind of let this happen, which leads into some future things. So then we go to expansion number 3. And of course, this one is about the alien race of the Hive. So if you thought it was going to be all 4 of them, you're wrong. Get wrecked.
I mean, you led me to believe it, so I don't know if that means I should get wrecked or you're just a fucking asshole. I don't know. Figure it out in post.
So, Taken King. This one
I've heard of this one.
is, well, that's because Crota's father is named Oryx the Taken King.
Is that what he would introduce himself to his parties? If, like, someone flirted with him? Like, hey, you're kind of handsome. And he's like, sorry, I'm the Taken King.
So, you like orcs? See? he
God
has
damn
like,
it.
he has like one of my favorite designs though in the game.
He does look like that's a pretty good design, things considered. He looks like something out of Doom. Like, I'm expecting to fight that in Dark Ages when it comes out.
Like, it's amazing how like much detail there is, especially something for like
DLC.
This game was made for like PS3 and 360.
That's right. Destiny 1 was made for those, and then they just kind of ported it to the next gen.
Yeah.
They did that with a lot of games. They're like, it'll run on a 360 or an Xbox One. And it's like, okay. And then you turn it on the 360, and all you can hear is your fans, and it's like, that's a problem for the future. Like,
You got Oryx the Taken King. So he had heard that his son was murdered by us, and he is a Hive god, unlike his son, who is kind of more like a demigod. And he is also obviously a warlord, and he has waged war across like the cosmos for a really long time, taking entire civilizations just in the name of power. And because he heard that we are the ones that taken his son's life, he's like, alright, well, looks like we're going to the solar system to annihilate the Guardians, and he is this massive ship that is called the Dreadnought, and has a really powerful weapon.
As I would expect something called a Dreadnought too.
And it kind of looks like that.
It's like a half-finished battleship piece.
There you go.
Okay, you know what? No, you're absolutely right. It does look like that. What the fuck? That's what... You know what? I know what that is. That's what fucking Jenga comes in. That big dumbass tower. And then you fucking play it once, spill it everywhere, and you go, how do I get this back in here?
Yeah. So this ship, it doesn't really look that big in that picture, but
I'm guessing it's fucking massive.
It is fucking massive, because in game, in one of the cutscenes, it kind of zooms out from space, which this is near Saturn, by the way, which I should show a picture of Saturn, because you probably forgot what Saturn looks like.
As I tend to do.
Saturn.
Nice. Saturn.
And so it zooms out, and you can see the rings of Saturn, and it is like, you can see the whole rings of Saturn, you can see Saturn as a whole, and you can see where in the rings it is, and you can see the whole ship. That's how massive it is in that scoped out view of Saturn.
You know, in your picture of Saturn, I don't see the ship, so I feel like you're lying to me.
Well, I was just showing Saturn. I wasn't showing the ship with Saturn. But,
this is not a banana for scale moment.
Yeah, and, so when it arrived near Saturn, the Awoken, because they're on, like, the edge of our solar system, they sent a fleet to try to get rid of him before he could do anything to us. And Oryx, he activated the weapon on the ship and wiped out pretty much the entire Awoken fleet that was sent to attack him.
Jesus.
And he tried to fire it again once the Queen and the rest of her crew got there, and she used whatever sorcery she has, and kind of, as the weapon was about to fire again, she kind of rendered it inert. So she's got some weird magical powers. The let's talk a little bit about Oryx's title, the Taken King.
Mm-hmm.
So we know he's the king of the Hive because his son was the prince of the Hive. But why is it the Taken King? Because he has this special power from the darkness where he can, and I quote, take enemies and twist them into corrupted versions of them, and they don't even have to be Hive, and they will then be under his control.
Interesting.
So this is what a Hive, or a Taken Fallen Vandal looks like.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was fallen, but now it's taken, and therefore is now under the control of the Hive.
Now it's blue. Or
blue, kind
pale,
of ghostly
white,
looking.
gray color. Or absence thereof.
Each enemy has its own little special abilities that it now has, but I don't want to talk about all of them. But they help kind of refresh gameplay, make it feel fresh instead of just fighting the same old enemies. So, alright, I forgot that also, when Mara, she did her weird sorcery bullshit, she kind of, like, is presumed to be dead because she, like, used all of her, like, strength, and she, in the cutscene, you see her just collapse. And then Oryx is like, alright, so I have really no one to oppose me now. Guess it's time to go for the Guardians. because the Awoken are obviously no longer a problem. And the Vanguard are like, oh shit, well, instead of trying to be going on the defensive, we should probably go on the offensive so that we aren't having to fight on our last area to defend.
Yeah.
So us, the player character, we infiltrate the dreadnought, and we have to clear a hole in the hull of the dreadnought. God, I love saying hole and then also hole. And we clear a section. We put down a beacon so that Guardians and us ourselves can freely roam in and out of the dreadnought. We fight through the dreadnought, trying to weaken the Taken as much as possible and the Hive. And we also see that the Cabal have crashed a ship into the dreadnought, and they have like their own little beachhead where they're fighting against the Taken. So it's like, cool. We also have to fight the Cabal sometimes. In order to help weaken Oryx as we're seeking him out, we find out that he has things called echoes, which are like a Taken ghost version of himself that we just gotta fight and destroy, and it helps weaken his power. And my god, some of those missions, they are a pain in the ass because you're like fighting wave after wave after wave of enemies, and me not having friends, because that's me, it's hard to do solo.
And me, who doesn't really play Destiny, won't do it with you.
We take care of these echoes and still trying to figure out where the hell Oryx is, and he just kind of chilling in the Ascendant Realm, which the Ascendant Realm is a place where it's like Hive shit that only like the upper echelon of Hive are able to access, and it kind of helps them build up their strength and whatnot. And you have to be like specially powered up in order to enter the Ascendant Realm, which is how we are able to get in. It's weird shit. So then eventually we fight him 1-on-1 or 1-on-3 if you're in a fire team, but you know, some people aren't. And that's an interesting little battle where you're kind of in this small little arena that he kind of confines you to, and he'll have moments where he's inside it and you get your hits in, and then he'll have like a survival phase where he's outside of it, you can't get outside of it, and he's just firing shots at you. That's a kind of interesting fight. But you take care of him, and that is actually where you truly kill him. That's where you just kill his like little mortal form, because he does have another form, his god form. And so you kill his mortal form, and that's where Guardians for the first time get sword weapons, which they're pretty cool, pretty fun. Swords in the space age game where everybody's got guns, very good, very nice. And then there's the King's Fall raid, which is the raid where you finally kill his true form. And that one you have to go through, kill all of his main lieutenants, and one of them is like a big, really powerful ogre, and some of them are also his other sons. At the end, you fight his true form, and it's like this giant, like inconceivably big form of him. You kill him, and end his reign, and his death leaves a power vacuum, which kind of ensures that the Taken will remain a future enemy. And that is the Taken King. Any questions so far?
Not particularly. I think it's interesting the fact that Oryx's ability doesn't just work on his race for like taking enemies over. I think it's interesting that it works on anything he can get his hands on.
Oh, that's something I forgot to mention. At, so, at the end of when you kill his mortal form, before the King's Fall raid, when he's dying, in his dying moments, he uses his taking power to literally take himself. So,
Oh, that's fucking metal as hell. What the hell?
yeah. Alright. The final expansion is called Rise of Iron. And you guessed it, this one is about the race and the fallen.
I was gonna say the Hive again.
So this one is all about this group called the Iron Lords. And what they were is they were this group of guardians that sought to rebuild civilization after the whole collapse happened.
Mm-hmm.
And they were led by this guy named Lord Saladin, who everyone in Destiny calls Lord Salad, because Destiny
Yeah, it's
gamers
too
are
many
cringe.
syllables the other way.
So, here's Lord Salad.
That's just Kratos.
I mean,
Don't get me wrong, I like Kratos.
here's Lord Salad.
You just sent another picture of Kratos.
So,
Yeah, it's just Kratos, but he actually wears a fucking helmet.
and armor.
Oh, Kratos wears armor, depending on how you dress him up.
A little bit. He wears, like, the female MMORPG kind of amount of armor.
Yeah. Yeah. He found it and he's like, I will not let gender roles judge this for me. No, in the newer ones, you can't actually find like full-on cuirasses. It's just you never find anyone wearing them online because everyone agrees they look like shit, and they'd rather just see Kratos being jacked all the time. And I'm no exception.
What's wrong with looking at a jacked man?
Nothing. That's the point. I'm just saying people want to see that instead of, Kratos all armored up. Forget that.
So, the Iron Lords, in their efforts to look for rebuilding civilization, they discover this thing called Siva. And it is a powerful nanotechnology from the Golden Age that was designed to construct and enhance things. But it proved to be uncontrollable. And so it turned against the Iron Lords, and it nearly killed all of them. And only Saladin survived, and so he sealed it away and vowed to ensure that it would never threaten humanity again. Well, centuries later, in the now times of Destiny, the House of Devils, which is the main house of Fallen on Earth, they uncover Siva and they use it to transform into splicers, which is basically just regular Fallen, but with the Siva nanotechnology merged with them.
Now wait just a second. I talked about splicers in the last episode when I was talking about BioShock. Yeah, you mean to tell me that you're going to talk about splicers too, and they're different? That's right.
So the House of Devils becoming splicers, they become these very powerful Fallen, and their spreading the Siva across the entirety of an area on Earth called the Plague Lands, oddly enough.
What
And
what part of Earth is that? I want to know what country became the Plague Lands.
I'm pretty sure it's
It was
just
France, wasn't it?
pretty sure it's another spot in old Russia.
Oh, well, that tracks. Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, because of the splicers, the Plague Land becomes this corrupted wasteland filled with Siva. In order to contain the outbreak, we Guardians, we discovered the place where Saladin had sealed away the Iron Lords and tried to seal away the Siva. And we are forced to just destroy their remains because the Siva has corrupted their remains, and that would be very bad because the Iron Lords were really powerful, and we don't want them to get out if their Siva corrupted. And then the Splicers leader, who is named Axis, Archon Prime. First of all, Axis, like, come on.
That's what you're naming your villain?
It's kind of
Really?
like on the nose there.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, I made this new villain for a game. What's his name? Count Hitler. Like, hang on a second. That one's in use.
This is Axis. He's basically a fallen captain who floats around on what is basically like the super mechanized version of Shank.
Okay. That has arrows.
Trust me, I am very good with my Microsoft Paint, and this is what he actually looks like.
That Shank is playing Dance Dance Revolution, but unfortunately it doesn't have feet.
No,
What the fuck?
You'll remember from my first game or first episode that's how I made the gun for the Shank.
I don't think you gave them guns.
Oh, that's the gun.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's what Axis really looks like. He's
That's
just
a lot of wires.
basically completely mechanized at this point. Barely flesh.
He's holding a double-barreled assault rifle. How does the top barrel load?
Don't
I have
ask
questions
about this.
I'm gonna ask questions. How the fuck is that?
Destiny weapons make no sense. It's like asking how Borderlands weapons make sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Axis, he is fully merged with Siva, and he claims himself to be a god over the Splicers. And so us Guardians were like, alright, let's enter this raid called the Wrath of the Machine, and just completely dismantle his forces, and then confront him himself. And how we manage to bring him down is we use his own Siva enhancements against him by overloading his systems. So we eventually do that enough times, take him down, and when he dies, the remaining of the splicers, they're kind of like, oh shit. They either just completely collapse, or they are so weak that the Siva is no longer a threat and is completely contained once again. Then, because Mr. Salad is so proud of us, he considered us to be an Iron Lord now, and thus ensuring that the legacy of his fallen comrades lives on. While Siva is theoretically neutralized, there are still some traces of it, and it's just kind of biding its time, waiting for someone else to break it free. But as we are now the Iron Lords as well, we are now tasked with helping keep it from spreading, and that is the rise of Iron.
Interesting. In the end, we became the Iron Lord.
Maybe the real Iron Lord was the friends we made along the way.
Or hear me out, maybe it was the things we shot along the way.
So, yeah. Anything you want clarification on or anything from any of the four?
Not really.
Ooh, I forgot to mention that Rise of Iron, it was actually at the time, next-gen only expansion, so it was no longer 360 and PS3, it was PS4 and Xbox One.
That's how they get you. They're like, look at all the cool shit you have on 360. Sucks to be you, motherfucker.
They're like,
Now you gotta
hey,
get it on Xbox One.
hey, you played all three of these expansions on this console? Well, guess what? You've got to upgrade to play this one.
Yeah, upgrade to play this one. You gotta shell out the money for a console, a copy of the game on next-gen hardware, and all the DLCs, because I have a sneaking suspicion this shit is retroactive, like a lot of games DLCs are. Or
Yeah,
story-based games, I should
kind
say.
of. 4 races, 4 expansions, but only Hive and Fallen.
Yeah. Porkaball.
And that's why my intro only mentioned the Hive and Fallen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because you said earlier when you were like, can you remember them? I was like, not really. And you said, I said 2 of them. I was like, if there's 4, why did he only say 2? And why can't I remember them?
All right. Well, that's gonna be it for this episode of Loosely Canon. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you didn't. And yeah, next time Eclipse will be covering.
I'm going to make the mistake of covering Metal Gear and possibly Metal Gear 2, depending on the scripting. And for clarification, I'm not talking about Metal Gear Solid. I'm talking about the originals. Because there's no way the scripting is going to be short enough for Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Those games are going to be an entire can of worms. But Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2.
I know nothing about them. I just know Snake and hiding in boxes.
They're fun until you look too deep, and then it gives you an existential crisis.
Good old Kojima.
Which will be a blast, because that means I have to look into them deep. Fuck.
Just hit up Kojima.
Yeah, I'll call him up and be like, yo,
explain the shit.
I had to cover your shit for a weird internet series.
All right. Well, see you.
See ya.